rumor on the Hill when I left yesterday was that the president was going to make a significant speech at the end of next week, and on December 22nd, when we are out of D.C., he was going to fire Robert Mueller. I believe that the president wants all of this shut down. He wants to shut down these investigations, and he wants to fire Special Counsel Mueller.
There she is, the rumor on the Hill. Probably she heard that
through the
there in one of
grapevine.
the Democratic cloakrooms. Anthony Scaramucci is joining us right now, former White House communications director. Anthony, what do you make about how that rumor, and we've heard for months that President Trump was going to fire Robert Mueller?
Listen, I think he's probably frustrated by the process. I think he knows in his heart that he didn't do anything wrong as it relates to Russia or that sort of stuff. He probably doesn't like the nonsense as it relates to a distraction, but he's certainly not going to fire Mueller. I just think he's too smart to do something like that. He doesn't need another distraction on top of that distraction.
But you know what this is, Anthony?
But it's nothing to do about anything.
Right.
I mean, I was there for 18 months, and I was also, look, I was in the White House for 11 days. Some people say 10 days. That hurts my feelings, Stephen, so let's just go with 11. But at the end of the day, I know the president didn't do anything wrong. Okay, I was there with him.
But do you know what happened? The investigation is turning on its head with these text messages, the fusion GPS, the lack of answers with the FBI director, the lack of answers with the others last week. So all of a sudden, things are about to change. Unless you throw out a story that says the president's going to fire Mueller, that becomes the #1 story. Everything else gets pushed aside on all the national shows. So they successfully change the conversation.
But he's usually
for a non-story.
He's usually one step ahead of them. You know, back in the summer, you guys may remember they put out that Russian sanctions bill. The president decided to sign that, even though he probably had some objections to it, because he knew that it would be much ado about nothing in the Congress again on Russian sanctions. And so here's what we need to talk about, though. Booming economy, rising wages, real job growth, real wage growth for lower and middle class families. And you're going to get tax relief here shortly. And that's going to be very meaningful to a lot of these families. Just think about more disposable income for lower and middle income families next year. That's a phenomenal thing.
Starting in February. You'll feel it in February.
And by the way, that's what the president ran on. And the American people feel that, and the American people know that. And so there's a big media distraction going on right now. But I predict by the middle of next year, people are going to say, wait a minute, this guy's doing an amazing job. The economy's booming.
Right.
And I think he's going to surprise in the 2018 congressional election.
What do you say to these Democrats, the naysayers, the Chuck, Nancy, actually all of them, because none of them is going to vote for it? We just had a guest on saying it's going to hurt the middle class. We heard Chuck and Nancy say it's going to hurt the middle class. Is that true?
No, it's obviously not going to hurt the middle class. I think there's if you go through line by line, there's slight unevenness here and there, but there's nothing you can do about that. You know, the president unfortunately can't wave a magic wand and dictate the perfect tax plan. He's got to deal with this recalcitrant Congress. But if you look at the thing by and large, it is very meaningful to a disposable income increase for middle class families by and large. That's going to mean the economy is going to grow more next year, Ainsley, than even this year. That's going to be phenomenal for the stock market and in general for everybody. So when you have naysayers sitting here on this couch, remind them that just disposable income increase, which leads to greater consumption, is going to lead to more growth for the economy and lift everybody's boat. That's the most important thing to say to them.
Right. As soon as there's a tax cut, the federal government is going to start withholding less, so people are going to start feeling it in February.
Exactly.
Anthony, you know, the Democrats have been very effective during Ainsley's conversation, talking about how the middle class is going to get not getting a good deal here. When you look at how the American public felt just before the Reagan tax cut, this is really interesting. Back in 1986, American overall assessment of the tax bill, 39% approved of it, a third disapproved, and 28% no opinion. And then,
keep going, yeah.
And then Americans on the tax bill's effect on their taxes, 18%, only 18% said it's going to go down, 30% said it's going to stay the same, 41% said it will go up.
Now, that was a tax plan that went from 50% tax rate to 28%, and yet the American people were still dubious on accepting this massive transformation.
And history will judge that unleashed tremendous growth in the United States, literally helped to create Silicon Valley, unleash all of the technology and social media, and that's this kind of president. Okay, this is a transformative president, and my prediction is that shortly before the 2018 election, congressional elections, this stuff will start to really impact families, and it'll have a positive benefit at the polls.
All right. Meanwhile, you were the communications director for 11 days.
Thank you for saying 11.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Why say 10 when you can say 11?
Exactly. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was tweeting over the weekend.
She said, which is the more underreported story of the president's year one? Defeat of ISIS, booming Trump economy?
And, Anthony, you say what?
Well, I actually think that it's national security in general. I think he's going to get something together with the Chinese and the North Koreans, but he's also been very strategic in the Middle East. I spent 3 or 4 days in Israel prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, and I think he's got a plan in place. When he finally unfolds that plan, you'll see an opportunity there to have lasting peace. I really believe that. And so we'll see. It's underreported. He's got great street smarts. He's got great common sense. And he has strengthened our alliances around the world, and he's made Americans safer. And so I think that's going to start to unfold as well.
Trends are heavily against Republicans in the midterms. The president has pledged to personally go out there and campaign. What's at stake if they lose either chamber?
Well, listen, he's up against it because we know historically congressional elections in the first term, it's usually rough on a president. Go back to President Obama. He said in 2010 he got shellacked. So you know you're always up against it. The 1982 Ronald Reagan, he got hit pretty hard. So typically what happens in America, they try to balance things out by shifting things. If you've got a Republican president, you may get more Democrats in the Congress and the Senate. But this is a unique situation where because of the president's economic agenda, if he goes out there and he uses his great salesmanship and his communication skills, I think he's going to win more and keep more congressional members than people predict.
They got to go right for impeachment if he loses the House.
They're going to go right for impeachment. What are they going to impeach him on?
That doesn't stop them. Yeah. They're still voting on a daily basis.
That's the whole thing. I mean,
impeachment is political, and they're kind of political.
No, I understand that, but my point is that, like, at some point, through good communication and through awareness, we got to get it out to the American people. What are you going to impeach the guy on? He hasn't done anything other than, and I say this to my liberal friends, tell me the policy that the president has put in place in the last 10, 11 months that has been so objectionable to you.
Right.
You can't find one. Can't find one.
All right. Anthony?
All right, great seeing you guys. It's good to be back, guys. Merry Christmas. I'm allowed to say that, right? Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you're celebrating, I hope it's a great one.
Thank you very much.